Hi, here we go. So we're on Dawnbreaker. We're going to look at a full-length gameplay of the stealth jet, staying alive the whole time, the target prioritization, the positioning, everything. So first thing I do is I go after the enemy jets. They're the biggest threat in the sky. This first one's going for me, but I spot the second one on the radar, and my wingman is nowhere to be seen, so I go for the second one, because I don't want to be going after a jet and then have a different jet get on my tail. So once I've dispatched him, I actually get a bit of distance here before going for the other jet, because the AA is taking shots at me. Here the enemy jet gets a few good hits, but not enough. And what I should be doing here is using the rear camera to keep an eye on him, because my switching, so my maneuvering in the air, is not as good as it could be, because I don't quite know where he is. I know roughly where he is, but not that well. So here, things get a bit dicey. I go after the jet, take him out, but the attack helicopter gunner is actually quite good, which I didn't expect, and the base AA started shooting at me as well, so luckily I managed to get out of there alive. But now I have information that the attack helicopter is capable and is targeting me, so they're my next priority. So after the jets, it goes down to the helicopters and then the anti-aircraft. The reason I don't prioritize anti-aircraft over anything else like that is, on Dawnbreaker especially, you can use buildings for cover, so you can block the AA from killing you. Right now I don't actually know where the AA is, but, well, you can see him on the map there, but he's too busy shooting at everything else. He's not focusing on me because of my high altitude. Speaking of high altitude, that's how you deal with skillful helicopters, is you come directly from above and fast, and you don't overcommit, don't get too low, because if you swoop underneath them, that's when they can see you and shoot at you. So here I'm just staying nice and high, just taking pot shots at him. He's being pretty clever with this positioning, but makes a mistake here. Commit to the full strafe because I know I've already done half his health and damage, and fly away from the base AA. But I spot the enemy jet on the radar, so I go after him. Use my ECM there to deal with that lock. Not sure what it is though. And take out the jet. And since my ECM is down, I don't know where that lock is or what it was. I fly away, waiting for my ECM to come off cooldown. Should only be 3 or 4 more seconds here. Spot the AA, and here I try to laser fake him out. So you shoot the laser, and most tanks will pop their APS straight away as soon as they hear the beep beeps of the rocket coming. But then you go back to your cannons and let the laser guided missile sail on its own for a little bit, and then swap back to the laser again. And then that laser guided missile will whip down from wherever it is and hit the target after they've already used their APS. So here, just dispatch the other jet. So now, as far as I'm aware, both jets are down, and the next jet shouldn't be up for another 30 seconds, which gives me a bit of time to look around the map, see what I can do to help my team. The important thing to keep in mind when you're in the jets is you can't really win the game from the air. Even if you're killing everyone, it doesn't make that much of a difference. What makes the difference is the flags. And the way you can cap flags as a jet is by proxy. So putting pressure on the enemy tanks, shooting the infantry that are on the flags, it gives your team a little bit of help getting towards the flag. So particularly on the rooftops there, those little infantries, they cause lots of issues for everyone, snipers, stingers, everything. So it's a good idea to take them out, suppress them whenever you can. So right now the attack heli is up. I don't know if it's the same crew as before. I'm guessing it probably isn't based on their positioning. So I target them first, just to make sure I don't get taken out by them unexpectedly. Also, I noticed before the AA took some shots at me, so the AA is just underneath that helicopter there, so I'm going to keep my distance. I'm taking lasers from the rooftop there, so I'm flying up nice and high to get some distance. Spot that stinger take off as well. So here I'm just going to sit back for a little while, let my ACM come off cooldown. And before dealing with them, I think I'll help the team out a little bit, help pop that APS on that tank. You see, right now I'm not doing very much to the tank, but I'm causing him to retreat. And that takes pressure off the team on that side road there, on that avenue, which means our tanks, our infantry, can push up towards C and D along that side, which is really helpful. So here, I'm getting a little bit greedy. I actually show the broadside of my helicopter, or my jet rather, to the anti-aircraft tank. So I turned sideways and showed the widest part of the jet, which isn't good. And I'm flying like this because I spotted the jet was coming for me on the air radar. Just going to do a bit of a switch here to get behind him. He's using his afterburners a little bit too much, so his speed control is getting a bit out of whack. taking fire from something, not totally sure what it is, but it looks like AA, so I'm just going to get some distance, try and spot it in my rear cam. Successfully spotted the quad bike there, very helpful. But now I'm going to come back through. The reason I'm trying to lock onto that quad bike there is they're actually free kills, so any motorbike, quad bike, hovercraft, anything like that, that's up to 2 free kills and a vehicle destroyed on there. So as much as I am playing to help the team, I also want to get, you know, a couple of points under my belt. So now I'm flying back. It's just AFK for a second there. So here I'm actually using my laser guided missile to spot infantry on the ground. That's another great way to help your team. If you can spot infantry, your team is notified of their location as well. So then you basically act as a UAV while you're flying around if you have nothing to shoot at. It's a great way to help. Here I'm going to try and have a go at that tank because I see he's out of position, he's surrounded, and I get the kill. I wasn't going for the kill per se, but I did want to help out there because I noticed that tank was definitely going to go down. So here, again, what I was just talking about, looking for that free kill on the quad bike. Even if there's nobody on it, up to 10 seconds after the occupants have left the vehicle, you can still get points for destroying or disabling it. So it is, if you have nothing else to do, it is worth doing. So here I see the AA is actually mobility hit right now, which is a perfect time for me to strike. It means he's probably already used his APS. He's not going to be looking at me because he probably got hit by a tank or an RPG. So that's why I went in for the hit there. I was spot another jet on the radar, switch over him quickly. I heard him let go of a couple of heat seekers there, but I think he was going after the enemy helicopter. So coming back around now, having a go at this little helicopter, managed to steal the kill. Again, wasn't really my intention, but the TV guided missile from the attack heli came in right as I started shooting, so I mean, I won't complain about the free kill. That is quite nice. So right now, just sort of looking around, I see our F-35 got bailed, just making sure no one was trying to steal it from the other team, because you can actually fly your jet up higher than a jet that's bailed, and then jump out of your jet and steal the enemy's jet. And that does 2 things. It gives you a 3rd jet on your team, and it deprives the enemy team of an extra jet, which means they now only have 1 jet instead of 2. Very, very powerful if you want to shift the balance of a game. So at this point, pretty much got control of the map, at least in the air. What I should be doing here is probably going for a few more ground targets. So the way I prioritize targets typically is I'll look for the vehicles that are affecting the state of play right now. So that tank down there, he's sitting kind of near his deployment, a little bit near E, but not really affecting the state of play. So I'm checking the map now for other tanks that might be more of an issue, and I see one over on E. Getting a little bit suspicious of the gunner that's shooting at me there. I know I was flying in a straight line, but he's hitting me from over 1,000 meters. It's a little bit ridiculous. Anyway, right now I'm just looking for targets. Helicopters again are always more of a priority than tanks, so I deal with them first. Especially the mini bird or the scout helicopter with the 7.62 chain guns on it. That can shred even an F-35, super nimble F-35. If you get too close and they get their line on you, you'll be dead within 2 seconds. So here, again, I should be using the rear cam a little bit more, but I'm feeling a little bit complacent because so far most of the jet pilots I've come up against aren't that aware. So this pilot did quite well in the maneuvering, but made the mistake of trying to run for cover and stacked it. So now I'm going back for the ground targets because I don't see anything on the air radar, or except that attack helicopter, but he's way too far away from me to be any issue right now. You see just there, I used my rear cam and spotted him by putting my cockpit in line with him, so I can pop him up on the map for a second. So now I'm going to try to get some damage on him, but I'll pull up pretty early there, pop my ECM to avoid any active radar missiles or passive radars, and just get some distance repositioned. I don't really like taking on a fight when I'm taking on more than one enemy at a time. Typically, in any engagement, you want to find a way to make it a one-on-one by positioning, by the order, target priority, the order in which you kill the opposition. So, for instance, with the AA being where it is in the helicopter, I don't want to go after the helicopter with the AA shooting at me. So right now, I've just spotted the helicopter using the laser-guided camera, which can actually spot twice as far as the normal first person view. And here I'm coming again directly from above. I am expecting a maneuver here from the helicopter, but fortunately for me, they're not very capable. And that was a bit of a mistake there. I didn't realize the anti-aircraft tank had moved as much as they did. So they were actually on the corner at D, and I probably could have seen them while strafing the helicopter. But I got a little bit of target fixation there. So target fixation is where you're so concentrated on what you're shooting at that you ignore everything around you, including the ground. So it can cause you to crash into your target, it can cause you to crash into the ground just beyond your target, and so on. And right there, I thought I'd put some pressure on the guys at B rooftop a little bit, because they're causing issues for the team, and I'm not sure if I'm getting lased by them or stinged or whatever. So I actually lock onto their spawn beacon, because you can do that with the laser guided. And now here I'm just trying to suppress them a little bit, just mess with them, waste their time, you know, take the pressure off the team. If they're sniping down on our team, or, you know, shooting rockets or lasing or whatever, they can't really do that while they're being suppressed. So shortly after, I spot the jet on the air radar going for the kill, but he's unfortunately stacked it. But I like to make sure, you know, if possible, to get the kill, so take him out there on the rooftop. Again, another jet pops up. Now right there, that was a passive radar glitch that he tried. Interestingly, he doesn't follow up, but if he managed to pull that off, that would have easily mobility hit me, because I wasn't ready for it. So if you don't know, a passive radar glitch is where you shoot passive radar missiles just off into the distance, and then after they've been flying for a while, you lock onto your target, and then the missiles will whip around in a similar fashion to the way the laser guided missile will whip around when you re-lock onto something, and it will hit your target and mobility hit them. That's a really big issue for jets, because typically you get a bit of warning, like I did there with the Stinger, but sometimes with the passive radars you don't get any warning. There's not a single beep, no notification that you're being locked onto, and suddenly you're hit with two missiles that deal about 60 damage and cause your jet to become immobilized, which is a huge issue in a dogfight. Or in general, particularly on Dawnbreaker, if you become immobilized while you're flying towards buildings, you're not going to be able to avoid them, so that can cause you to crash and die. And at this point, since I haven't been killed yet, it's quite likely the opposition are just willing to try anything to make me die, get me out of the air. So right now, if you look at the tickets, our team is doing quite well on the ground. I was saying before that you can use, you know, the pressure of the jet to help take the pressure off of the team. But again, that really does depend on the capability of the team as well. So here, I'm just positioning myself behind the jet. While I was using the ECM, he wouldn't have seen me on his air radar. Also flying quite low to the ground, he wouldn't have seen me, so definitely had the element of surprise there. But again, that jet bailed, so there wasn't really much need to put too much effort into the engagement. Again, just going to mess with the guys on B rooftop here. Try and go for the kill there. Often, if you see a soft lam, a mortar, anything like that, or even a swarm beacon sometimes, there's usually a person standing very close to it. So if you lock onto it, there's a good chance you'll kill somebody as well. Here I'm just sitting on his tail, and notice how I'm not hosing the whole time, because I noticed a little bit of lag there. I wasn't sure if I was going to get any more lag, so I didn't sit on the trigger the whole time, because if you do, what happens is when you lag, or you know, your aim goes off target for a little while, you actually chew up the amount of time that you can use your minigun for, or your chain gun, and that causes the gun to go on cooldown, which means, you know, you can't secure the kill, you can't do all the damage you want it to do, and you can actually lose the fight after that. So here, I'm just going to get a bit more distance. I took a bit of fire from the AA, not really an ideal time to re-engage. So right now, I have a pretty good idea of where the AA is, and I'm trying to find the attack helicopter that I spotted before. So I'm flying nice and high, trying to spot him with the rear cam there. No luck though, so I'm going to use the laser, have a look around. Not sure what that is, probably a soft lam. I'm just going to hit it anyway. The thing about soft lams is, if used correctly, just like the PLD goggles, they can be devastating to your team's armor and all your team's vehicles, even the helicopters and jets. So dealing with that, you know, just blowing it up, getting it off the map is a good way to take the pressure off the team. Because like you see here, there's not always a great opportunity to shoot at things. So sometimes just finding a way to help out in little ways can make a big difference. So here I'm just going to mess with the infantry a bit, because I got nothing to do. I'm using the 25mm cannon, which is actually probably the best for dealing with infantry. The reason for that is the 20mm cannon's great against enemy aircraft, but it's really, really weak against infantry. I think it takes between 7 and 10 hits in the chest to kill an infantry with a 20mm cannon, which is reasonably difficult. You have to fly from quite a long way away to have enough time to shoot them that many times. So right there, it's a pretty good line of sight just over D there, so I spot the enemy AA. And I'm going to be a bit cheeky here, try and sling a rocket at him, but he's ready for it, so I bail out of that straight away. I don't commit to it. He can do a lot more damage to me than I can do to him, so I decide to get some distance. Right now, I'm flying nice and far away because I use my ECM preemptively, just in case he had passive radars. Here, I was going to go for those infantry, but I spot the helicopter, so I go for that first, and I immediately give up on that once I spot the jet on the radar. Because the target priority is definitely a rule worth living by if you want to keep on living in this game as a jet pilot. And something that catches me out frequently is you get a little bit complacent after a while. You know, you might not prioritize the enemy jet so much because as far as the game's been going, it's been pretty easy fighting them. They're not much of a threat. But sometimes a really good pilot joins the server late and kills you instantly when you weren't ready for it because you didn't prioritize the jet. So it's always a good idea to keep in mind that no matter how well you're doing, that can always change. Someone can go out of their way to get you. So, spotting the vehicles, our team has the map on lock at this point. All you really need is ABC to be able to have a huge impact on the game. And right there I just did a little bit more of an advanced laser fake out. So instead of locking the target I intend to hit, I actually locked a different target and then locked on to the actual target after firing my missile. And what that does is similar to the first tactic of locking like I am here and then relocking, is it wastes their time a little bit, but also they aren't ready for it when it comes in. So yeah, it's a good way to sneak up on players that are quite aware. So typically the AAs are very aware because they can see the laser guided missile coming. But if you fake them out like that, they don't really have much time to react. They don't have time to look at where it's coming from and estimate how long they have before they need to activate their APS. So it's a good way to deal with them. So here, I'm still being quite vigilant, a little bit paranoid about the jets. So I started getting locked onto there. Typically that would indicate it's a heat seeker and not a passive radar, but it can still be a passive radar. So I popped my ECM straight away. I didn't even want to let the missiles get in the air. I prefer to break the lock before it even gets a full lock, just to avoid that passive radar glitch. So at this point, we're going to win the game. It's just a case of looking for kills, so take a shot on an easy target. Taking some hits from the AA there, but I don't go for the enemy jet right away. And this is actually a really clever decision because that enemy jet was coming for me and the AA actually managed to get an active radar on me. So here, I just fake out the enemy jet. I'm flying a way that makes him think I'm going to keep flying behind those buildings. And then I switch and I come up from underneath the buildings, right behind him. He has no idea what happened. Was not ready for it at all. And he bails out of his jet. So the AA is taking more pot shots at me with the active radar, but it's pretty easy to deal with. You do get warning every time with the active radar, which is good. It's not a lot of warning, but it's a lot more than the passive radar glitch, that's for sure. So here I'm going to fake out the tank again. He actually used infrared smoke, so I'm going to try and hit this other tank, but unfortunately he's going to get to cover before I can get that lock on. So I did see the helicopter on the radar for a second there and he dipped off, which can mean two things. Either he used his ECM or he got quite low to the ground, less than 25 meters, or he was killed. So either way, they can be hard to find because you can't see them on the air radar. Anyway, that's the full-length gameplay analysis of the thought process, the target prioritization, positioning. Thanks for watching.